Great. So we are recording. I have a deck here that I'd love to get going. Great. All right, cool. That date's wrong. So cool. Thanks everybody for joining. This is the October Stockton REI Network Mastermind. In terms of agendas, I do want to cover these 3 points. One, introduction. So I just want to make sure that everybody gets to know one another here. Discussion, like I mentioned, some of you have submitted topics that you want to discuss in the mastermind today. So definitely want us to be a resource for one another. And then last, I have announcements. So announcements that I have, but also if you have an announcement, like if you're looking for a deal or if you have a deal, or if you have something you want to plug, like your website or your consulting, go ahead and send me a chat in the Zoom chat box, and then I'll make sure we give you a few minutes at the end to be able to plug whatever it is you want to plug. So introductions. I know some of us are regulars here. So thank you, Gerald, Julio, Miguel, for coming, and welcome, Vineet, for the first time. So in terms of introductions, I want to go over your name, where you're from, and your real estate investing experience. And I'm happy to kickstart this. So hi, everybody. I'm Willie Marquez. I'm from Stockton, California, born and raised, and currently live here. And in terms of real estate investing experience, I'm a buy and hold rental property investor. I have most of my property here in Stockton. I have some units in Southern California, some units in the Bay Area, and then I'm right now growing my portfolio in Indianapolis, so out of state investing. I'm going to go down the list. So Gerald, if you can go next, followed up by Julio, that'd be great.
Hey everyone, my name is Gerald. I live here in Stockton. And in terms of real estate investing experience, I've acquired my first property as a live and flip, not a live and flip, but to buy and hold. So, and now I'm working on marketing strategies, cold calling, direct mail, anything that I can try to master. And looking for some deals, try to do some lead generation, and yeah.
Awesome, cool. Thanks, Gerald. Julio, if you don't mind going next, and then Vineet followed up after Julio.
Yeah, so I'm from Salinas, California. That's in Monterey County, but I live in Riverbank. I'm currently house hacking a duplex, closed in July. My goal is to refinance out of this one in next July to house hack the next one. I really like multifamilies, 2 to 4 units. I grew up living in multifamily, so it comes natural to me. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, just hoarding money and trying to game plan how I'm going to play the next buy.
Great, thanks, Julio. Vineet, if you don't mind going next, and then we'll go end with Miguel.
Sure. So my name is Vineet. I live in Bay Area, and I have a couple of units in East Bay. And I had one out of state in Kansas, which I have sold, and I have invested in a syndication as well. So
awesome. Thanks, Vineet. Welcome again. Miguel, if you don't mind closing us out, that'd be great.
How's it going? Miguel Garcia, local Stockton investor. However, I'm from the Bay Area, born and raised in Oakland, California. Been in Stockton doing some flips. I got one flip that's going on the market on Wednesday. And then I have another flip that I just started renovations on last week. And then I got a couple buy and holds that I do in out of state, but in Tennessee area, Chattanooga. So I have 2 properties out there, actually in escrow to sell one of them. And then with the proceeds of that, I'm looking to buy another multifamily, maybe a 2 duplex or 4plex out in Chattanooga area. So my strategy basically is buy and hold out of state and flip in California. So.
Yeah, thanks, Miguel. I always love having you on these because I feel like you're way more experienced than myself, and really everything you kind of contribute is super helpful for me, but also the group. So thanks for joining.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so great. I'm happy to dive right into the discussions. So during registration, several of you have listed the items here that you wanted to discuss. An overwhelming majority of you, I believe Vineet and Miguel, I think you guys were talking, hoping to talk a little bit about Stockton real estate market, but then I know Julio, you had talked about hard money lending, wanting to talk about hard money lending, and Gerald kind of talking about partnerships and whatnot. So I want to start with the discussion topic that was the largest hit generator. So Stockton real estate market and the status of it. So I want to give Vineet and Miguel a second to speak about like what specifically about the market you were kind of interested in what do you want, like what questions you have, and hopefully as a group we can kind of discuss the topic about the Stockton real estate market and what you're having questions or comments on. So Miguel, Vineet, any feel free to jump in.
For myself, I'm just being invested in Stockton. I know the other people that here are investing in Stockton see the market as crazy as it is right now. How long is this gonna last? That's my biggest thing. And I actually reached out to one of the guys that Willie you posted. He had a off market deal that he was trying to sell right on Mendocino. And so, with the state of COVID, everything that's going on in Stockton, I'm just trying to figure out, what's my best play in Stockton. So even though I do have some experience, my experience is more with the flips. And I am looking to get a little bit into the long-term market out this way. And I feel like the market is going to dip pretty soon. So I'm being very cautious of what I'm doing out here. But I also know that a lot of Bay Area people are coming to Stockton. So I'm just trying to see what everybody else is seeing if they're seeing the same things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this group is going to be great to be talking about their personal experience with that. Vineet, if you want to chime in about what you were interested in discussing today, that'd be great.
Sure. So I am mainly a buy and hold investor. Even the units I bought in East Bay were for a long-term hold. And so that's what I was into go into. Like, do you guys see this as the right time to buy in Stockton for a long-term buy and hold or like what is if someone is looking, is it something to buy like a fixer upper, then fix it up and then like try to do a sort of a burr even if you cannot get your money out? Like what's the play and how long? Because I see the prices, they are just keep going up and up. It seems like the inventory is way down right now, and everyone from the Bay seems to be heading towards either the Central Valley, Tracy, all the way to up to Sacramento, right? So that's why I want, since you guys like live there, you guys have experience there, you guys do buy and hold and flips and everything. So in general, so what do you guys, where it seems to be heading? And like Miguel said, like how long this can continue, right? So
Gotcha. Great. Yeah, so definitely would love, thanks Vineet and Miguel. So I want to open up the floor to the group. And also we have a new participant, Madhu. Thanks again for coming back, Madhu. Always appreciate you coming here and joining the group.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So I want to open up the discussion to the group. I'm super interested in hearing, Gerald, I think me and you are the ones, me, you, and Miguel are the current residents here. So we kind of know a little bit more about Stockton, what it's like to live here. But I want to make sure everybody has an open opportunity to answer some of the questions that Miguel and Vineet posed. So feel free to jump in. I'm happy to get started with this question. So like I mentioned, I have about 4 properties in Stockton. I haven't had too much of an issue with tenants with rent as well as paying on time. Keep in mind that I did buy most of my properties between 2013 and 2016. So obviously prices were a lot lower at that price point. I do lean towards renting to students at the University of the Pacific. So that's central to Stockton. And if you know the neighborhood, it's a really good neighborhood where a lot of cared for homes are taken care of by almost first or second homeowners. And I will say that I have been personally affected by students who are no longer required to be on campus. So they've gone to online housing. But it was actually, I was able to find a tenant within 30 days of listing the property for rent. So for me, I've been seeing the same thing you have, Miguel and Vineet, with homes pretty much not lasting on the market and prices pretty high up. I sent over the YouTube link of the discussion with Erica about what she thought as a local real estate investor, but or as a local realtor. But what I'm seeing is similar to your point in inventory flying off the shelves, prices pretty high up. I've been really keeping an eye on multifamilies and just looking at the numbers, they don't really make much sense. It doesn't seem to cash flow for a lot of the multi units here. So what I have been seeing as opportunities within Stockton is trying to find 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, or 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom with over 1,000 square feet. And I've been able to find quite a few properties that are in a really good price point there because my goal has always been to add a 3rd bedroom whenever I find that criteria. And I know of local contractors who are able to, who are very comfortable with doing that. And I know with an addition of less than, I believe, 500 square feet, you don't have to file with the city with that. So that's been something that's been catching my eye. I think from a lived experience part in Stockton, I've personally seen crime and homelessness increase. I feel like there's quite a few more homeless people out on the streets, and police have just been going by quite a bit lately. So I do feel that it's a little it's really important to find a really good location in Stockton when you are deciding to invest. In terms of my overall investing strategy, I've decided after looking and running the numbers quite a bit that I'm not interested in investing in Stockton unless I'm able to add value by adding a bedroom or adding a bathroom. I just think the returns are so much better out of state. Um, in addition to that, I think I I don't. So with that in mind, I am a little bit concerned about the eviction moratorium and the loan forbearance, and I do think that inventory is going to come out from out of that. And I right now, just to be safe, I've been holding cash and just doing it in the stock market. I feel like that's been a safer bet than anything right now until we figure it out. One of the trends I'm actually noticing out of state is a lot of multifamily properties are hitting the market. I had mentioned earlier that I invest in Indianapolis, and I've been seeing quite a few 2 to 4 units hitting the market. So what that tells me is that a lot of out-of-state investors are actually getting concerned about the eviction moratorium as well as renters' rights. So I feel like there is a lot of inventory coming on board out of state of people who invest there who are concerned that they're not going to be able to get rent from their tenants and not be able to evict them. So I don't know if that's foretelling of what's going to be happening to California, but it's just something that I've been noticing myself.
You know, I feel a lot of those comments are like spot on because that's kind of what I've been seeing as far as like the local market is going crazy right now, and I don't feel it's sustainable. At some point, when these moratoriums on everything expire, there's going to be some foreclosures coming because people are just going to be so far in the debt. And I mean, with COVID, nothing's changing. People, you know, some of the businesses are starting to open back up, but people are so far in the hole, they're not going to be able to afford some stuff. So I've been kind of hoarding cash as well, trying not to. I'm picking my deals wisely, but I'm scouring the out of state stuff. I am absolutely looking at every multifamily that comes in the market in Tennessee right now, and just trying to figure out how I can scoop up more doors. Because at some point, this market is gonna drop, in my opinion. So I just want
Right.
I want to be sitting on cash when that happens.
Right, absolutely. Gerald, I definitely want to get your opinion on this, but before you do that, Miguel, I think one of the interesting things and one of the reasons I've sent out the video with Erica was that she had mentioned that foreclosures might actually be a little bit less frequent than in the most recent recession, because foreclosure implies that your home is underwater. With the limited supply as a result of people not listing their homes, prices have actually increased. And with that, when homes are listed on the market, they're going to be coming at a higher, they're going to be comparables that are above the price at which they bought the home. So as a result, you're not actually going to get foreclosures. You're going to get people who are going to be selling their home because they need to, but also getting equity out of it. So I think that's a nuance that was super interesting to me, because I don't know if it's necessarily foreclosure, and that may impact what prices look like. But I just wanted to call that out as something that Erica mentioned was super interesting.
That's a good point.
Gerald, yeah, I wanted to see what your thoughts were overall on the Stockton market.
Yeah, I didn't have any opinions. I was just wanted to ask you, what exactly or how exactly does a loan forbearance affect the stock market?
Loan forbearance affecting the Stockton market. Is that what you said?
I mean, just the market, or how people would come about looking into buying holes, or
Yeah, it's more of a trickle down, right? So if let's say, for example, I'm a buy and hold investor and I don't have any positive cash flow. Let's say I'm flat. So let's say my mortgage payment is 1,200, but also my renter who is paying their rent is paying 1,200 as well. In that example, let's say the tenant is no longer paying 1,200 a month, and you're still on the hook for paying 1,200 a month to the mortgage company. So loan forbearance allows you to have that 3 to 6 month window of going without a mortgage payment, but you're not exactly at a loss because because the tenant's not paying. So it kind of gives you, let's say loan forbearance ends, right? And your tenant still isn't paying. At that point, you might consider selling your home, or you might consider having to evict your tenant. So I think loan forbearance is a way to kind of give current buy and hold investors a little bit of a relief on their mortgage payment.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else have any like overall comments or kind of insights about the Stockton market?
I just think it falls on the supply and demand. I feel like overall people are scared. Like as society, we don't know what's gonna happen. Everybody's scared. And us as kind of like these entrepreneurs, go-getters, we're making moves right now. We're making moves, we're planning, we're doing. But the regular everyday folk, they're frozen, they're stuck. They don't know, like they're at home watching TV because they're told they can't do anything. So it's more so of like these people are scared to to sell their house. They're scared to post their stuff, to have appraisers come through, inspectors, random people. They're scared to have these people come through because they don't know what kind of virus they'll bring in. There's been a lot of deaths. There's a lot of unknown. I mean, I know for myself, my long-term play is just reserves. Because if we do, if the next year, early quarter, mid quarter, we get an influx of all these rental properties, then we're going to be sitting in a good position to buy. That's kind of where I'm at and how I feel where things are going to go. And we'll see. It's slow play. I mean, real estate is forgiving, just a slow game.
Yeah, super interesting point, Julio. And I think the overall fear of the virus is definitely real. One thing I'm hoping kind of helps Vineet and Miguel with this question that you have is, like I mentioned, born and raised in Stockton, currently live here. One of the things I've actually been doing lately is going to yard sales and just trying to find good value. Like there's a lot of people in the community having yard sales here in the Stockton area. One of the things I noticed, and it's definitely not statistically significant, there's no like real correlation or causation here, but something that I've been noticing myself is that a lot of people have been having yard sales because they've been let go of their job. And I think that's definitely more pertinent in the Stockton market. You got Regal Cinemas that's now closed down, Holiday Cinemas that's now closed down. You got a lot of retail in Stockton, and you got You got agricultural plants who have had to cut back because they have to minimize the amount of people in their facility at a time. So a lot of the Stockton market is hit by that. And so one of the unexpected outcomes of that is yard sales. But you know, the past probably 3-4 weeks, I've been going to yard sales on Saturdays, and I've been talking to the people who are having the yard sales and saying, "Hey, what's the reason you're having a yard sale?" A portion of them are saying, are saying that they've had maybe like the people who I talk to who are like between 70 and 90 years old are saying that their partner has passed away, or if they're younger, they're saying that their father or grandfather has passed away, and so they need to sell their stuff to get some cash for it. And some people have said unemployment, but I think the passed away perspective is interesting because I came across one yard sale and they had mentioned that their grandfather passed away. They're trying to sell his stuff, and I asked them, "Are you looking to sell your home?" and or your grandfather's home, and they said yes, like we're trying to clear out their stuff and then we're going to sell their home. So I think that might be an interesting way for you, Vinny and Miguel, probably more for you, Miguel, since you're in the areas and you can actually go to these yard sales. But I would recommend like talking to going to these yard sales and talking to the people and saying like, "Hey, what's the reason you're having a yard sale? Oh, you mentioned someone passed away. Are you guys looking to potentially sell the home?" I think that might be a good way to come across some off-market deals and try to get ahead of the game there.
Man, as soon as you said that, I added that to my mental notes. I'm gonna be hitting up some yard sales. I never looked at that angle, but great points. I'm gonna be utilizing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's actually a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, with that one, yeah, I came across a yard sale last Saturday where they said that their father had passed away in the Fresno area. They brought the stuff to Stockton because they're selling it, but unfortunately, I don't invest out there, so I don't know off the top of my head about investing in Fresno or that area. Yeah. Any other questions or kind of comments about the Stockton real estate market?
Hey,
To continue on with the yard sale thing, I actually I came across this the house. It was being they had, I guess the homeowners had hired a company, and they hired this company to help sell whatever belongs in the house. And so I had pulled up and I asked, I said, "Hey, so can I go inside the house in the backyard?" They said anything, and everything on the property is for sale. And so I figured, okay, cool. Well, instead of looking at the items inside the house and the closets and the storage, I was looking at the condition of the house and had to ask. First, I asked, "Hey, so what kind of business do you guys run?" And told me the whole spiel. And I then continued asking, "Well, are they willing, or are they interested in selling the home?" And they had a list, and so I guess they already had somebody come in and say, "Well, somebody is already inquiring to rent the house, and you're actually the first to inquire to buy the home." I figured, cool, I'm first on the list. Once they gave me a call, I went home, kind of ran my numbers, and got my number. Come to find out, well, first off, they never called me back. A week later, come to find out, they already had listed it on the market. So I kind of seen that coming. I did ask, like, well, have they been working with a broker? The company that was selling their items for them, they don't have that kind of information from the homeowners, but yeah, people know what's up, you know. They know to put it on the market. They know that they're going to get more out of it, and knew that I was, wanting to get it for a discounted price. So it was no luck there.
Hey, it's worth a shot. Definitely. Yeah, I think you definitely had the first foot in the door there. So, yeah, great. Thanks, Gerald. Madhu, I saw that you came off of mute. Was there a question you had?
Yeah, actually, it's a kind of question, not the Stockton area, but you said you see out of state multifamilies is coming into the market more. Do you see this as a precursor to something big when it comes to, I was just trying to understand, what is it trying to say, about the market conditions, especially in out of state, like Indianapolis, that's where you are in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think it's a precursor. What I've noticed is that Indianapolis, and Miguel, you could probably comment about your Tennessee experience here, but Indianapolis is a big out of state in buy and hold community. There's a lot of people from Texas, Washington, California that are investing in Indianapolis. And lately, I've been getting alerts left and right of multifamilies hitting the market. What I'm hearing here, and I actually just bought one in Indianapolis. I closed probably 3 weeks ago, and I asked the realtor what's the reason the seller was selling, and they did mention they were an older couple based out of Washington who didn't want to deal with the hassle of the out of state investing. And so what that implied to me, and what I think I can infer from that, is that out of state investors are getting a little concerned that the low that people from low income communities are not going to be able to make paying rent on a timely basis, on a monthly basis. So as a result, they are cashing in and selling their home while the market is high. They bought probably 3 to 5 years ago. And so they're concerned that they're going to have to deal with tenants who are not paying their rent and who they cannot evict at the same time. So I think that I don't know if that's I don't know if that's totally translatable to the Stockton or the California market, but I did want to call out that that's a trend I've been seeing in the out of state market.
Right. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So do you see any changes in the price, especially in that market, Indianapolis?
For me, myself, I have been seeing some price cuts across the board. They're being flooded with supply. So I have been seeing price cuts, probably 5 to 10,000 off the top. I think the average duplex to triplex out there is between 80 to 100,000. So they've been coming down probably 10 to 15% as they sit on the market for longer.
Oh, okay. Great. Thanks, Willie.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vineet, Miguel, I want to close out the stock and real estate market conversation with two other things that I've been noticing is, one is, Miguel, I think you called out that off-market property that I sent in that email. If you all didn't get a chance to look at the most recent invites that I sent over, I actually included pictures of an off-market property that I noticed while going around the community. So it's totally interesting. I was just doing a bike ride around my neighborhood and I just came across that sign. I looked at the door and they had that piece of paper that had the information about about the home as well as the owner who's selling it. And I don't know if it's a trend, but there are people who are buy and hold investors who don't want to list on the market because they don't want to pay the fee for the MLS. So they don't want to pay more out of pocket than they need to. But what was interesting about that home, Miguel, as well as the rest of the group, I did my research upon it. And I think this might be a trend that we see in the Stockton market, is that Stockton actually has actually, the University of Pacific area is super interesting because a lot of tenants there were students of the university. And obviously, like I mentioned, they're not required to come on campus. And so you're starting to see quite a few homes in the UOP area come to market because owners don't want to deal with the potential lack of renters, but also the lower rate that non-students would be paying for that area. So I do want to call that out as something to keep an eye on. You might want to reach out or try to find homes where current homeowners who rent to students are no longer interested in waiting until the UOP, University of Pacific, requires that you be on campus for lessons.
Yeah, that was an interesting listing because I think he's overpriced, but it's a great area. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on. That's part of the reason I wasn't interested in that listing either. Great. Miguel, Vineet, before we close out the conversation about stock and real estate market, any other questions you have about that you'd want to cover?
No, this was good. This was actually pretty good.
yeah, I don't have any question.
if you guys don't mind me asking, what number did you get for that Mendocino house?
Yeah,
Or
so
what plan were you trying to get?
yeah, for my own research, I was trying to, I think what the buyer would take and what was realistic was 290. They were asking 299. It still didn't work for me in terms of the financials.
It didn't work for me either. He was saying that he thinks the property is worth 350, but I'm not seeing 350. So yeah, he would have, and it needed to me it needed a lot of renovations. So
Is it a single or a multi?
It's
single
a
family.
Yeah, it's a single family, Julio. Great. So I want to touch on the other topics that you all submitted at the registration. So Gerald, Julio, and Madhu definitely wanted to make sure we touch on your topics. I know that you had questions about hard money lenders and partnerships. So I want to give you guys the floor to kind of clarify on what you were interested in discussing about today.
So my big question with hard money lenders is what experience do you guys have working with one? Because I'm starting to kind of form a list here in California to see who, who's going to lend me some money essentially. So I kind of want to hear from you veterans, like what questions did you ask? How was the process? How ready did you have to be with the investment property? Like, do you guys, right now I'm not essentially looking for a property per se, but do you guys recommend that I start reaching out to them, kind of building that you know what I mean? Like getting the ball rolling. So that's kind of where I'm at. Thank you.
Thanks, Julio. And yeah, if anybody has experience with this, love would if you could chime in.
I actually have quite a bit of experience with hard money because that's all I really use is hard money lenders. There's, in my opinion, there's no point of using your own cash if you don't have to. But with the hard money lenders, to say you have to be dialed in with all your stuff, and then also it depends on if you're going to look for the hard money lender to also pay for your rehab as well, because a lot of hard money lenders will do that, and I found that a lot of them actually prefer to do that to fund your rehab on top. So I mean, your numbers first off have to be dialed in, because when you send them all the info for the deal, if your numbers don't match up, they're not going to deal with you. So your numbers have to be pretty dialed in to what your rehab is and actual realistic rehab costs, because a lot of people underestimate their rehabs just to make their profits look better, or make their deal look better to themselves. I don't know what the reason is, but you definitely need to budget out your rehab correctly. But I have some really good hard money lenders. Actually, on the call recently, we really talked about Stockton Mortgage, and I've never used them, so I reached out to Stockton Mortgage, and I actually had them price out this flip that I just closed escrow on, and their numbers couldn't even match one of these. I got a pretty good hard money lender that I use called Civic Financial, and they're really good. So I mean, if the hard money way is in my opinion, if you're doing flips, even if you're doing some buy and holds, if you can burr it, just be careful with the burrs, because it's not as easy as people say. There is a lot of legalities you got to focus on with the burr and stuff like that. But if you get a good hard money lender for your burr, and then find you a good mortgage person that could finance you out of that hard money loan, it could be very beneficial to use hard money, because you come in with very low down payments. Well, depending on how much your purchase price is on your property. But
Hey, Miguel, I have a question for you. So I've been analyzing a lot of flips using hard money lenders, and my question is, how particular are they when it comes to the rundown or the itemized list when it comes to the actual repairs, the repair costs, or the repairs?
They're going to want it bullet pointed. I mean, you got to be somewhat precise, but they're not going to get in depth. You just kind of, okay, I got to rehab the kitchen. It's going to cost me this. But your number to rehab a kitchen needs to be in ballpark of what a full rehab of a kitchen is going to be. depending on the square footage of the house. So because they're going to run all their numbers as well. You're going to send them your numbers. They're going to run their own numbers, and they're going to come back and say, nah, you know what, your budget for rehab is too low. We don't think we're going to be able to fund this because we feel like your rehab is going to be this much. Because they're going to have their set prices that what they look at, and that's if you get your rehab funded through your hard money, because not all hard money lenders will finance the rehab. There's a lot.
Those numbers would have to make sense, and
they just got to make sense. And as long as your numbers make sense and they can verify your numbers, hard money lenders will loan to you.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, Miguel, I'm glad you were able to reach out to Stockton Mortgage. Definitely not the lowest price one, but I'm glad to give you another like resource that you could potentially lean on. Let's see, sorry. Okay, cool. Yeah, so for myself, Julio, I think Miguel might have like a good recommendation list. I've heard of people who've used I think Patches of Land, which is like advertised on Bigger Pockets podcast as hard money lenders as well. I'm sure you could find quite a few, but if you're looking for some, I would highly recommend reaching out to a local realtor. They might know quite a few on their back pocket. Even if you're working with a local lender, that's how I found out about Stockton Mortgage. I tried to go through a local lender and I couldn't make the numbers work because I was a independent contractor at the time. So that's how they referred me to a hard money lender to be able to make a deal. But yeah, I don't know per se how much the relationship building makes sense. Miguel, you might have a comment on this. I think honestly, Julio, they're just looking at the number. Like if you have a deal, they'll entertain it. But I think if you're not actively looking right now, I wouldn't kind of like waste their time because that might cause them to not trust that you're using their time wisely.
I definitely agree. If you're not actively serious about purchasing, don't waste don't waste your time or the hard money lender's time, because they're gonna analyze a deal thinking that they're gonna make an offer to get you some hard money on it. But I do have a good broker. He's a hard money broker, so he's not actually the lender, but he'll find you all the best hard money deals depending on your situation and your actual deal. Now, he would be somebody that you could hit up and send them your deal, say, hey, look, here's the deal I got online. This is what they're asking for. This is what I think the rehab is. And this is what I think I could profit if I sell it, or this is what I think what I could rent it out for. And then I can refinance, after 6 months. So that's a person that you could possibly throw some things off, bounce some ideas off of and throw. But generally, once you get to the realm of the actual hard money lender, they probably aren't going to deal with you unless you're ready to make a purchase.
Yeah. Hey, I also know if anybody looking for hard money, I also know a realtor, and he also he has a lot of hard money lenders, and he has some financial, I think, agent, what do you call it, brokerage, I guess. So he has that financial lending also. So let me know if anybody looking for, I can refer to you to him maybe, but you have to work with him. But I worked with him a couple of times. He's very.
Do you know if he lends in Stockton? So this is the one caveat of investing in Stockton. A lot of hard money lenders don't lend in Stockton. So you have to find a hard money lender that will actually lend you money in Stockton, because I've had plenty of them say, nah, you know what, we don't do anything in Stockton.
That's a very good question. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what his limitations are, but he has a network of people that he will connect with you also. But I can find out, Miguel. That's Miguel, right? Yes.
Yeah. And I'd be interested in getting his info, because I'm always looking for hard money lenders.
Sure. He's a real estate broker, so he has some real estate agents in the Stockton area also, but I can find out.
Miguel, they tell you why? Did they mention why they don't lend in Stockton specifically?
Crime rate, it's the stigma of Stockton.
Yeah,
Plus, it's in the Central Valley. It's not a major metro market. So a lot of places they like to keep their money in the metro markets because they know the metro markets. You know, they're going to keep having people coming in, except for COVID right now is definitely affecting the Bay Area. But
right.
that's generally what they look at is like, hey, this isn't a major metro market, even though the Stockton is a huge city.
Yeah, it's
the
huge.
Population, this is a very huge city, but the population doesn't make it a metro market, so it's not it doesn't have all of that appeal that the bigger markets have. And then also again the crime rate and the to be honest with you, it's a stigma. I grew up in Oakland. Oakland is I would say hands down worse than Stockton. Yet Oakland doesn't get the stigma that Stockton does, and it's crazy to me. But hey, I don't mind it because it gives me more opportunity to buy properties for cheaper. So I want to keep them sleeping.
I hear you.
Yeah, and if you want to network, Julio and Madhu, thanks for joining the Slack. I think you two can definitely have that conversation on the Slack channel. Miguel, feel free to join the Slack group too, to kind of get that network and have so that you and Miguel can kind of touch base off on Slack as well. Do have a few minutes here. Like I mentioned when we started, if you have any announcements, anything you want to plug at the end of the meeting, please send me a chat so that I know to give you a few minutes at the end. But we have about 10 minutes left. Gerald and Madhu, I do want to make sure we hit on the topics that you listed. Gerald, I know you mentioned Gerald, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about partnerships. And Madhu, I think I wanted to talk about eviction moratoriums and loan forbearance, which I think we touched on. But if you two have any other questions as it relates to that topic, would love if you guys could chime in.
I don't have really much questions about partnerships. I just wanted to ask some of you, in terms of partnerships, like how did yours go with, if you guys had any partnerships, how did that go? And are you guys still working with them or currently are? What do you guys think?
Yeah, so I don't, for myself and Madhu, feel free to chime in afterwards. For myself, most of the properties I bought have just been myself. I've gotten money from family members to help fund some of the deals, but they don't require to be like on the contract or on the title or whatnot. This most recent property that I closed in Indianapolis, I was kind of short on cash, and I knew it was like a great deal. So I actually asked my brother if he wanted to come into the deal with me. So what we did is we put both of our names on the title, and we came in half on the purchase. So it was a property that I bought for $70K. I put in 35. My brother put in 35. He's on the title. And since this is his first time getting into real estate investing, he's been seeing what I've been doing and he's been super interested. So I basically committed to him and said, hey, I'm willing to work with a property manager and work on the rent collection, and I'll give you half the rent whenever I receive it each month. So in that sense, it kind of helped in the sense that I didn't have to come $70K out of pocket. I still have the property. Once we sell it, after it appreciates, we'll both benefit. It split in half, but that's kind of an informal way I've been doing it. I wouldn't recommend it if it's with somebody you don't trust. Obviously go through the legal way that makes most sense to you, but that's been helpful for me so that I don't have to use everything out of pocket there.
I see. Thank you.
Madhu, I did see you came off of mute for that one. Is there something you wanted to add?
Same thing, actually. I don't have any experience with the partnership. And also, I think we discussed the eviction moratorium and loan forbearance. So I don't have any questions. And anyway, I have a hard stop. I just wanted to say bye and thanks, everyone. Nice to see everyone. I got to drop off.
Great. Thanks, Madhu.
Thank you.
We have a few. I want to get to the announcements at 7:55. Miguel has an announcement for the group about a potential property, but we have a couple minutes. If anybody has anything else they wanted to quickly ask a question about or add a comment about, definitely want to open the floor to the group. All right. So announcements. Miguel, feel free to come off mute and do yours, and then I'll wrap up the mastermind today.
Okay, thanks. So I just wanted to see if anybody knows any buyers out there, especially the, I didn't catch your name, but in the Bay Area, if you got some potential people that are looking to move into Stockton, I have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath coming on the market, fully renovated. It's practically a brand new property. I'll be listing it. It should hit the MLS by Wednesday. We're doing kind of soft showings right now. But it's completely renovated, practically a brand new house. We're going on the market at 240. It is in South Stockton. And then if anybody in the Stockton area, if you guys are interested in flips, getting more questions or whatever, if you're interested in coming out and checking out some flips, let me know. I could hook up with you and take you by some of these flips I'm working on and give you as much info as I can possibly give you. That's all.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to take you up on that, man. I've been wanting to see who's out there and active, and want to. Yeah, I'll catch up with you, man.
Okay. Yeah, we get put in contact by Willie after this, and yeah, I'll link up with you and have you come by. You can come check out the property I got working on right now, and just kind of see what happens.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely want to recommend all of you join the Slack to definitely link up. But if you're not interested in doing the Slack, I will definitely forward your information so that you all can connect.
Send me the info for that. I'm not sure what that is.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's in the email. It's if you scroll down a little bit on the email that I send for the invites, it's always plugged there. So, but I'll send it to you directly in an email, Miguel.
Thanks.
Cool. And Miguel, I might take you up on that. If anything, just to kind of learn from you and absorb. And then, yeah, just I think, especially now, quarantine, I think it'd be great to put a face to the name, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I got one property that's done inside. I'm still working on the outside, but it's still going to go on the market. So you guys could check that out. And then one property we just finished demo yesterday. So now we're framing today, tomorrow, and all that good stuff. So
nice. I'm glad to see that you're still crushing it, given the situation. Cool. And then I just want to wrap up with announcements that I send over in the emails pretty regularly. So here on the screen is the announcements. I think Gerald and Miguel had kind of already inquired and looked into it, but if you're interested in the off-market property that we're discussing, it's right here. You can check out more details on the email. 1156 West Mendocino Avenue at 299. Like I mentioned, I was just biking around the neighborhood, saw the sign, and I thought it would be great for the network in case anybody was interested. In addition to that, we are on Slack. Slack is like AOL Instant Messenger. Basically you're on your phone. It's like a platform for people who want to collaborate and talk to each other. We're on Slack. I know Julio is on there, Madhu is on there. Sherwin, who's been providing a bunch of articles and YouTube videos that have been super interesting about like Trump's tax returns or some recent legislation passed about tenant rights have been posted on there. So really good to get the rest of the group on there. And then lastly, the rental property dashboard is actually an app that I developed myself. I thought it would be helpful for buy and hold rental property investors to have like one app where they can quickly or kind of keep a list of all their properties so that they can know how much they're cash flowing and make sure that they're tracking if rent's being paid on time. So it's an app that I work on my free time, currently trying to work on updates and get it more robust. But if you think that might be helpful for your rental properties, feel free to download it and check it out and send me any feedback you have on that. Cool. We're at 7:58. I don't think there's any other questions, comments. So I do want to thank all of you for your time. Gerald, Julio, Vineet, welcome, and Miguel. It's great to see all of you again, and we'll be in touch.
Sweet.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
We'll see you.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Sleeping on the bed.